And we're back, everyone. What's going on? Another episode of the Pitre podcast. So, your boy is not as down bad as before, man. I am not as down bad as last week. Last week, I had a headache. My neck was hurting from sneezing, which is insane. My foot was possibly fractured. I had a plethora of issues, man. I was feeling kind of sick. Now, I'm in good health. Got my foot checked out. Just a bruised bone, no fracture. Good to go. Should be up and running in the next couple weeks or so. It's been about 3 weeks since it happened, so they say it's about like 6 to 8 weeks. No more soccer, basically till like the end of the summer is what it is. I'll live. It's not that big of a deal. My neck is not hurting, thank God. No sneezes. Took my neck out this week, so everything is good to go. We are good to go. And for this episode, I want to talk about, it's another kind of gimmick, if you will. And if you're like, hey, no, this is just too much gimmicks, if you know, like the story time with Trey and like my TED Talk of hate, that kind of stuff. I'm trying to spice things up, if you will. I'm trying to make my podcast unique to me. Not everything is going to be a gimmick episode, you know. So not everything is going to be story time with Trey. Things that I hate, etc. Like, I'm going to talk about different topics where there's going to be times where I throw that in. So hopefully if you like that stuff, I would definitely continue. It's not going to happen often, but it's going to happen here and there. So we have another gimmick coming at you, which is, I'm going to call it This Just In. So kind of like me going over the things that are currently trending in the ethosphere as of right now. So what's happening in society? What is society talking about? What's occurring or what's being discussed online, social media, what's trending on Google. So that's kind of what I'm going to be going over essentially. So it's a bunch of random stuff. Nothing is planned. I have literally nothing pre-planned. It's just me going off the cuff. So this could be gold or this could be horrendous, one or the other. So we could not waste any time and we could jump into it. So the first thing, I'm looking at trends right now, and the first thing that I see is that Vanessa Bryant is pregnant. Fuck me, bro. Fuck me. Why do I gotta have this? So Vanessa Bryant apparently is pregnant. Obviously not from Kobe. I mean, has been dead for the past 5 to 6 years. Shout out to the boy. RIP the boy. So I did see some discourse online, you know, kind of stating that people were upset about it. Like, people within like that basketball community are kind of upset about it, or like basketball fans or fans of Kobe Bryant are upset about it. And they just think that she shouldn't be pregnant. They think that she shouldn't move on. They think that, you know, if she is going to get pregnant by someone else, she have to give up all of Kobe's money and that kind of stuff. And listen, here's why I think about it. One, it's been 5 years. If she got pregnant a year after his death, I would be upset about it. The woman is still relatively young, and it's been 5 years. She was married to Kobe for basically 20 years, damn near 20 years, maybe even more, right? She gave the dude like 3 to 4 daughters. She was loyal to him through rape accusations. She was ride or die the entire time. You know, she grieved his death for the past 5 years. It's okay to move on. It's been 5 years, man. Like, what do you want? You want her to sit there and suffer, you know, for the next 20 years and sit there and be in grief for the next 20 years? Like, no, dude. Like, she's still relatively young. By all accounts, and I obviously don't know the relationship, by all accounts, she did right by him. I don't think anyone else have stated that she done wrong by him or she did him dirt or whatever. So, dude, it's time to move on, man. Like, you can't sit there and try to hold on to the past, if you will, you know? Like, she's alive. She is well. She should have the right to move on. And let's be serious here. Like, Kobe would have wanted her to do that. Granted, I don't know Kobe, but if you were to ask anyone who actually knew Kobe and this situation happened, he probably would have wanted her to move on, man. I don't think he would have wanted his wife of like almost 20 years and the mother to his kids that if he were to die abruptly, to just sit there and grieve him for the rest of her life. Like, he would have wanted to move on. A lot of married couples, when you have that conversation of if I die, like the hypothetical situation, a hypothetical scenario, like they all say like, yo, I want you to move on. I want you to find love again, you know? It's not fair to her to sit there and grieve Kobe for the remainder of her life. And people do the example of like Steve Irwin's wife have never been on a date ever since he died, and it's been like 20 years too, and she's like, yeah, like that was the love of my life, that was the one for me, I don't really have interest in being for anyone else. Listen, that's okay too. Like that is sad, don't get me wrong. It is very heartfelt and it's loving and shows that, you know, they were definitely the one for each other. But that's okay too. If your loved one passed or your significant other passes and you're just like, yo, I just never want to be in a relationship or date anyone ever again, you're entitled to do that. That's fine. But I think most people would want their significant other to move on in their passing. And regarding like her giving up Kobe's money and that kind of stuff, listen, Kobe put it in his will. She's gonna get, I think she got half. I think the mom got half. But listen, she got half, man. She was a mother to his kids, with the man for 20 fucking years, through rape allegations and all. Had 4 freaking kids of him, 3 or 4 kids of him, I'm not sure. Like, dude, she got a half. She rightfully deserved half. That money, Kobe left her that money for a reason. It is what it is. You have no say in where that money should go, if she should relinquish that money because now she's with someone new. Doesn't work that way, man. So people online are kind of upset about it. I personally don't understand. It's been 5 years. We got to move on, man. It's not that serious. All right, moving on from there. We have staying within the basketball ecosphere. So we have the DeMarcus Cousins. So basically, and I saw a video of this online too, so I'm happy that this is currently trending and inactive. So DeMarcus Cousins, I think there's some basketball league in Puerto Rico, right? And DeMarcus Cousins plays there or some shit. And like he got into it with a fan that was courtside, and like he tried to smack the fan or whatever. And then like his players had to hold him back. And then, like, the fans were throwing shit at him, and he tried to, like, hit a couple fans and that kind of stuff. Like, yo. One, I don't think a basketball player would try to smack someone if it wasn't warranted. So that dude who was courtside was probably talking a lot of shit and you know, like, just instigating him, if you will, to try to, like, get a reaction out of him or get him off his game or something like that, right? Or people just like to troll. Like fans, when they go to games, they just like to troll whoever the fuck is on the field. They really don't care. It's just part of the nature of sports. If you are a professional player, yo, that comes with the territory. You can't get upset at that. You can't get upset at a fan talking shit to you. Like, yo, it comes with the territory, man. Like, it is what it is. They're gonna do that. They pay there to be in the seat, to talk shit and do that. You just have to take it on the chin. Like, it's not that fucking serious. And again, like, if he was to just, like, you know, curse at him back or something like that, that's fine. Like, it is what it is, you know? That's acceptable retaliation. That's not that big of a deal. But to sit there and, like, try to smack people and that kind of stuff is like, bro, 1, you're going to get fined. 2, you could possibly even face jail time. And it's unsportsmanlike. It just is what it is, bro. That's the point of being a professional athlete. Like, you know that. He knows that better than anyone else. So why are you going around trying to smack fans? Now, the fan put his hands on you. That's different, which I saw the video wasn't the case. So it's like, dude, you're just basically acting immature. Not only that, it's just Puerto Rico. Like, that's not the place to be doing that, son. Like, I understand you think you're a big dude. You're fucking like 6'7", weigh 250 pounds and stuff. Listen, you could be a big guy. If you get shot or stabbed, it won't even matter how big you are. That shit is going through you like anyone else. And Puerto Rico is not the place to be doing that. Because Puerto Ricans, like us, like me, we don't give a fuck who you are. Like, we don't care. Like, straight up, we don't care. So... And we have a very, like, kind of community mindset of, like, if you fuck with one, you fuck with all of us, essentially. Especially in that environment, like, he did something to the fan, and all the fans started to retaliate on top of that. So it was like, bro, you might take that dude in the stands on. You might beat that guy up in front row. You ain't beating up everyone in the audience, bro. Like, it doesn't matter how big you are. Like, numbers are important. Numbers are a thing. You can't take them all. And Puerto Ricans, again, they don't give a shit, bro. They don't care. Like, they will Swiss cheese you. They would light your ass up. Like, they would stab you up. They would shoot you up. They don't care. So, like, that's not the place to be doing that, you know? And especially because you're not Puerto Rican either. Like, you're not one of us. So, You're playing with fire, man. Like, you should have just took it on the chin. Technically, Puerto Rico is the U.S., but kind of is not the U.S. You're not Puerto Rican, so it's like, bro, you just gotta play with caution. You should just, if anything, curse them out, or if not, just let it be. It's not that serious. But trying to smack people up in a different country, if you will, not a different country, but kind of a different country. But doing that is just not smart, man. And it could definitely go wrong for him if the people would want it to go wrong for him, essentially. All right, we are continuing down our stroll here to see what is currently trending. Okay, so we're scrolling. Hope everyone is having a good week. I think the one thing it's the biggest thing here. My Puerto Rican ass kind of don't want to talk about it. I might fucking have to talk about it, unfortunately. So it is the riots that are currently happening in LA right now, man. It's the LA riots, which, God, like, it's a tricky topic being Puerto Rican, because, like, I get it. I'm Hispanic, I am Latino, but we don't face that struggle that the rest of the Latin community faces in that regard. Like, we automatically have citizenship. Now, we have citizenship because the United States fucked us over. Like, the United States really did the Puerto Rican people wrong. Like, they straight up colonized us. They basically were like, you know what, Spain, go fuck yourself. We're going to take this island. They colonized the island. Our biggest crop was sugarcane. They took over that. The Domino Company completely took over that and fucking exploited Puerto Rican people, basically borderline enslaved them. The banks came in there and said, you know what, you have to pay property taxes now on your properties. We were already poor, so a lot of the land and the houses got repossessed by the banks, so they screwed over the Puerto Rican people that way. U.S. government literally bombed Puerto Rico. Like, it's the only place within the country in the U.S., in the United States of America, that the United States actually, the government bombed part of their country or part of their civilians and our people. So they opened fire on us many times during peaceful protests. They continuously exploited the island. They only gave us citizenship because they wanted to draft us into World War I, II, Korean War, Vietnam, etc. Literally is the only reason why they gave us citizenship, because they were low on men. When we came to the U.S., they segregated us with black people and all the other minorities. So, like, yo, a Mexican crossing the border does not deserve the same rights as a Puerto Rican. Why? One, we're here legally. Two, you didn't have to deal with the struggles we had to deal with. So my viewpoint on the whole issue is a little bit different. I think I'm more like traditional American sense in that viewpoint, rather than like standing up for my Latinos, if you will. But look, here's my thing, man. So from my understanding of what's happening right now, LA is on fire. Now, from what I heard, it's really not that big of a deal, the riots and or the protest. So it's not like on the level of the LA riots in the 90s, or I think there was another riot in the 60s, or, like the George Floyd protest, what was English? Like, it is not on that level. Basically, it's only centered towards downtown, which people from LA would tell you that no one goes downtown. Like, their downtown's fucking basically where all the homeless is. Like, there's nothing down there. So it's not like, spreading amongst the city, if you will. Trump is trying to get the National Guard in there. The National Guard is not warranted, to be honest with you. There's no reason to put the National Guard in there. There's no reason to mobilize them. The governor doesn't want the National Guard to be mobilized. I think technically it's up to the governor to mobilize the National Guard, and not, because in this country there's state laws and there's federal laws. There's things that state can do, there's things that federal can do. So as much as the news would portray it, as much as people think, Trump does not have absolute power. There's a lot of things that Trump is trying to do authoritarian-wise that are getting shut down by the courts and by the freaking legal system as a whole. So it's not like he can just do anything he wants. He talks a lot of bullshit and says a lot of bullshit, and if he had his way, he would do a lot of bullshit, but we have fucking checks and balances in the country for a reason, right? So I don't think he can mobilize the National Guard without the consent of the governor of the state first, which the governor doesn't want to mobilize. I'm not a fucking legal expert by any means, so you can double check that just to make sure, but it's just to say that mobilizing National Guard is completely uncalled for in this situation. But basically, what's happening is that, with the immigration in this country, and the previous administration, if you're American, you know this. If you're not, here's a quick little history lesson of what's been occurring for the past couple of years. So the previous administration, or let's just talk about immigration as a whole. Immigration as a whole, and I think I touched upon immigration at one point on this podcast. I believe so. If not, I think that's something that we need to really go over in depth. But immigration has always been a thing in this country. America is very unique in that it's kind of built on immigration, if you will. Like people, when America was essentially discovered and people were saying, oh, it wasn't discovered, etc. It was the Native Americans here. I get that. But when the Western world discovered America, or when Europe discovered America, essentially, people moved over here, one, for better opportunity. Two, a lot of them were prisoners, and basically England said, yo, if you move to America, you will not be a prisoner anymore and shit like that. But basically people came over here. Like the whole concept of America is immigration. You have that mass immigration. You had, during then you had during the 19th century, you had people from Europe immigrating over here too, especially on the East Coast, like from Italy, from Ireland, from some of those countries. A lot of them came in mass and immigrated over here to America. On the west side of America, had a lot of people from Asia, because that side's close to Asia. A lot of people from Asia, like China, Japan, etc., migrated to America. You have people all around the world coming for America for opportunity, right? People move to America for opportunity. America truly is the melting pot of the world. Now, it depends on a region too. Like southern U.S. is not the melting pot of the world. Southern U.S. is with people who are basically their family stems back generation after generation from being in America. Some of like the major hubs in America, city-wise, like New York City, L.A., those kind of places, those are primarily built up of immigrants or people whose family immigrated to America at some point down the line, whether it be previous generation, 2 generations before, 3 generations before, etc. So like, for instance, my family immigrated for America 2 generations ago on both sides, mom's side and dad's side. So technically, even though we're always been citizens and we are Puerto Rican, but, we immigrated to mainland America a couple generations ago as well. So America is just built on immigration. It's very unique. That's not something that's common amongst other countries in the world. Not only that, but over the course of the last couple of decades, a lot of people have been migrating from Mexico to America, crossing that border, because it's on our border essentially. So a lot of people make that cross. A lot of people that are from Latin America, not just from Mexico, like from Venezuela, for example, from El Salvador, from Honduras, or just all of Latin America in general. They go through Mexico essentially and go through Latin America to cross the border into the United States. Now, you can argue that's okay. We should welcome them. You can argue that we shouldn't welcome them. I can see it both sides. But basically, the issue that we're coming about here is that in the last administration, right, during the Biden administration, Biden just basically had an open door policy for anyone to immigrate to America. So before, people were still crossing the border prior to the Biden administration for forever. So people were already doing that. So it wasn't necessarily anything new. It was just that it wasn't in droves the same way it was during the Biden administration. So there were standard procedures in place to kind of stop people from crossing the border. And if you were caught crossing the border, you were sent back essentially. So it was always occurring, it wasn't occurring in the level of the Biden administration. The Biden administration just let everyone come in. Literally, they're just like, yo, we don't care who you are. We don't care what you are. We don't care what you bring to the table. We don't care your background is, your criminal record, whatever. You can come. Come one, come all. Everyone could come in here. Now, the issue in doing that is going back to the state issue and the federal issue and just legislature in America as a whole, when the federal government does that and just says, yo, everyone come in, why the fuck did it get so dark all of a sudden? If they're just like, yo, everyone come in, we have the issue now of the states. Now, federally, they can say everyone come in, but they got to go somewhere, right? If you let them in, they have to go somewhere, you know? So they have to go to one of the states. For a long time, it was primarily Texas that they did this in. So they would just cross the border. Texas is fucking huge. Usually that border would be in Texas. They'll cross the border and just stay in Texas, essentially. Texas, even though it is a very big state, it can theoretically house like the entire U.S. within just Texas. Like you could technically do it. The infrastructure is just not there. So there's only so many houses, so many apartment buildings, so much infrastructure that can support the millions upon millions of people that the Biden administration are letting over the border, which was literally in the millions. Like there was like millions of people, you know, every like, I don't know the exact statistics, but every week to 2 weeks, etc. So it's a lot of people coming in. And when you have a lot of people in mass coming in like that, it is very difficult to determine what we should do with them correctly. You know, where they should go, how we should house them, how we should care for them. Because these people, when they're crossing over the border, a lot of them, obviously they don't have anything. They don't have anywhere to go. They don't have any money. They're just coming over here a lot of the time for a better life. But they don't have anything to provide for. So they can't give us anything. So then the burden comes on the state's residents, and the taxes. So taxes are going to be raised. Tax money is going to be allocated to these people, to these funds that help take care of these people. Like, for instance, New York, right? I was living in New York City at the time, born and raised New Yorker, and Eric Adams, corrupt fucking idiot. So he was just like, yo, we're a sanctuary city. And there were other sanctuary cities that were just like, we'll take all the immigrants. So Texas said, cool, take our immigrants. So we're literally busing them in droves to New York. And when you have that many coming in every single day on the hour, what are you going to do with them? New York City is already a very crowded city. So they're putting them in hotels, they're putting them in this, putting them in that. You got to pay for them. You got to pay for, you know, the housing. You got to pay for the meals. You got to do a bunch of this other shit. And it was becoming a tax burden on the city. And it was literally bankrupting the city. It got to the point where the people of the city started resenting the immigrants because there was no way to support them. And that's the biggest issue when you have mass migration like that. It's not necessarily that people just hate immigrants and people just don't want immigrants to come over here and they're just going to take everything and, you know, they're taking up all space, etc. That is, don't get me wrong, that does play a factor. But the biggest factor that I see across the board is how the fuck we're going to pay for all these people. So at the end of the day, yeah, it's the government said they're going to pay for it. But how does the government get money? They get it through taxes. So the burden comes on the American people, the American taxpayers. And right now, dude, America's kind of a shit show, man. Our tax dollars are going to everywhere but American people. Like, it's going to fucking foreign countries to continue on with genocide, to fund a proxy war, to do all these other stupid initiatives for other countries that we shouldn't be doing. Our infrastructure is shit. Corporations are manipulating the system to benefit and drain the American people of their dollars as much as possible. And then we have to pay for these immigrants that we technically didn't even want or didn't even ask for. That was kind of just like basically forced upon us by the Biden administration. Like, it became a big issue. And I get it. Like, I understand the people that are just like, yo, they're coming here for a better life and they have to, you know, we just have to deal with it because our ancestors did it at one time too. And like, this is the point of being in America. And I understand the other side of that argument of people saying, yo, like, I didn't ask for this. I ain't fucking want them to come here. Like, I don't want to pay for this. Like, I'm really dealing with so much bullshit as it is. Why I got to pay for this too? This is bullshit. I don't want to pay for this. Like, fuck off. Go back to where you came from. I totally understand both sides of the argument. So the biggest issue is we let all these people in. We didn't have a game plan. You can't just have mass immigration, right? You can't just have millions of people come into a place without any game plan or like no rules, regulation, no nothing. Because then it's going to be a shit show. It's automatically going to be a shit show because nothing is pre-planned. Look at the issue with Europe. Europe's the exact same way. Europe's a fucking shit show right now because they didn't have a game plan. You know, they let a bunch of people in with no standard procedure, no plan, no nothing, just come one, come all. And now it's kind of a shit show. Dude, the visual in this podcast is going to be insane because literally every second the sun comes out, the sun goes away. So it's like bright in here and it's dark in here. I should have put on the second light. I'm so sorry about that. So this one's on me. It's going to be really weird watching visually. So yeah, you need a fucking game plan if you're going to do mass migration. You know, you need to have something in place. If you're just winging it, it's not going to go well. It's not going to go well you're doing a disservice to the immigrants who are coming to this country to want a better life. You're doing a disservice to the people who are the citizens of the country who are ultimately paying for that because there's no game plan. Tax dollars are going to go to waste. These people are not going to assimilate into culture, into society easily. Like when an immigrant comes to America, it takes at least like 2 generations in order for them to fully assimilate, for the family to fully assimilate into the country. And that's like statistics that they've done. So literally 2 generations is 40 years. So for 40 years, this group of people is not going to really assimilate into the American culture and truly become American. Their grandkids will, but they personally probably would not. And that's also dependent on their age too. If they come to America when they're like fucking 2 years old and they grew up in America, they're basically going to become American as far as like their viewpoints, how they act, society, etc. If they're older, it's going to take a couple generations. But when you do that in droves, the culture gets drowned out and shit just becomes a mess. And again, you see that in Europe. America is a little bit different. We don't have that much of an issue because again, America is like the place for immigration essentially. But going back into the issue that's happening here, I want to give you like a quick rundown into immigration, what the immigration issue and how the riots are basically coming about. So Trump is an idiot, but when he came into office with the state of the country, with all these immigrants coming in from the previous administration, he is just like, yo, we're sending everyone back. He's like, yo, we're sending people back. They can't stay here. They got to go. He ran on that, and a lot of people were with it, unfortunately. And again, like, when it comes to laws and regulation and legislation in this country, or just in any country, it typically goes in the extremes. So generally, from what I've seen across the board and my study of like politics and that kind of stuff, usually one side will go too far one way, and to counterbalance just society going one way, the other side will go the exact opposite way. Like for instance, look at all the wokeness that came about during like the 2010s and the 2020s, etc. So the left went super far one way, so to counterbalance that, the right went super far the opposite way. That's typically how it goes, and the same thing for laws and legislation as well. So Biden administration let everyone in. Trump administration wants to kick everyone out. The answer is always in the middle, but no one ever looks at it like that, unfortunately. So he's just like, yo, we're taking everyone out of here. Everyone's going. At first, it was supposed to be just criminals, which I agree with. I think if you're a criminal, you come to the country illegally, you're starting crimes, you're on your bullshit, you're doing dumb shit, we're sending your ass back, bro. Like, there's no reason why my tax dollars is paying for a criminal to be here. The fuck are we doing? Like, that's not okay. And a lot of the left argue against that and say, no, they deserve the right to stay, so they deserve the right to stay in this country for them to commit crimes. Like, that's bullshit. Like, we all know that's bullshit. Come on. Like, that's not okay. That's not okay. If it was the opposite way around, if we all, for some reason, Americans just went to Mexico, we're all causing crime in Mexico, I would expect the citizens to say, yo, the people who are causing crime in Mexico, send them the fuck back to the U.S. Why are we paying for them to stay here? That's bullshit. They would do the exact same thing. So I don't feel bad in sending fucking criminals back to where they belong. Why they're in our country? It doesn't make any sense. Why are we going to keep them here? Why is my tax dollars funding that? My tax dollars funding enough bullshit. So that was originally a plan, which a lot of people were on board for. Me being personally one of them. So then it kind of just went south. So basically, that was the start of it. And then it started to morph into, okay, if you have dissent for Israel, we're sending you out of here. Literally, I'm not exaggerating. There was people that they have visas. They're legally allowed to be here. Or if not, they're here from the country. They're working. They contribute to society. They don't have a criminal record. They said something bad about Israel online, and we're sending them back to their country. Which, if it was the case of speaking bad about America and you want to send them back, okay, I kind of get it. But Israel has nothing to do with America, bro. Why are we sending back immigrants that have something bad to say about America? That's bullshit. Like, they could talk about any other ally, but if they talk bad about Israel, they get sent back. Like, that's weird, to say the least. And I don't want to elaborate that any further because they're going to probably confiscate my bank accounts. But yeah, that's just bullshit. It's dumb. So a lot of people pushed back on that. And obviously, the discourse online, people were not happy about that. And then they just started to crack down on just anyone who is not a citizen. So they were cracking down on everyone. Doesn't matter if you're law-abiding within this country, if you had dissent for Israel, for America, if you were a criminal. They just started cracking down on literally everyone, anyone and everyone who is not a citizen, and just rounding them up and sending them back, which I personally don't think it's fair. I don't think we should do that, because a lot of those people, one, of course, fled to America for a better life. And a lot of them, dude, a lot of these immigrants, man, they do contribute to society. They do work tough jobs. They're not sitting around being lazy and doing nothing. A lot of these citizens, especially like the Central America citizens, like fucking Mexico, El Salvador, Honduras, etc. Like, these are hardworking people, very hardworking people. These people are working like, 2-3 jobs at a time, contributing to the country. I think if you're an immigrant and you're contributing to the country and you're not breaking any laws, we shouldn't send you back. Like, we want you here. Like, you're ideally what we want. Like, you're contributing. You're a member of society. You're not doing anything wrong. Why are we going to punish you for, literally in this case, trying to have a better life? So in those cases, man, just sending people back because they're not a citizen, I don't agree with. And a lot of them are doing it without due process. So basically, to send someone back, there's a bunch of procedures you have to go through in order to do that. They're doing away with that, essentially. They're just like, yo, we're just fucking rounding them up and shipping them out of here, which I don't agree with either. Like, if you're going to send someone back, you have to go through necessary steps and process in order to do it. Because if you don't do that, you're going to fuck up somewhere down the line. You're going to send someone back that possibly had a visa or possibly had a green card or possibly is a fucking citizen, and you're going to send them back to a country that they don't even belong in. Like, they fucking belong here, clearly. They have legal authority to be here. So I don't agree with just sending these citizens just sending immigrants back to their country without due process and for literally no reason than just being an immigrant. I don't agree with that. So ICE, which is the enforcement agency that kind of rounds these people up and do all this shit, they are going crazy right now. They're cracking down on, like, it sounds racist as fuck, but like Home Depots and and work sites, construction sites, is trying to start rounding people up, man. And a lot of people are not agreeing with it, both on the left and on the right. And the discourse online is very upset at it. And Trump is, the Trump presidency is so fucking garbage right now, man. And I didn't vote in this election because I didn't want to vote for Kamala because she was ass. I didn't want to vote for Trump because he was ass. If I'm going to vote, if I have my right as a citizen to vote, I'm going to vote for someone that I personally believe in. I'm not going to vote just because one is better than the other when they both fucking suck, like the last couple of elections that we had. So I ain't vote for neither because I know both for ass. But Trump's presidency has been extremely garbage. Like, he is flopping. And we have 3 more years of this bullshit, unfortunately. So fucking be prepared. But yeah, a lot of people are not agreeing with his immigration policies right now, and he's just kind of flopping in or floundering. And of course, LA, going back to LA, sorry for this big roundabout, want to give you as much information as possible. So going back into LA predominantly very Mexican. Of course, there's a lot of citizens there, but like the culture is very Mexican, very, Latin American, and they have big Latin American communities. ICE is, of course, cracking down within these hubs of immigration like New York, LA, Miami, etc. And people were getting rounded out and sent out in LA. And people in LA were not happy about it. So they're causing a big fuss. They're protesting. They're rioting, setting cop cars on fire, that kind of stuff, right? And I totally understand. Like, I get it, we shouldn't just be sending people out for no apparent reason. But I get both sides of the argument, because the one argument is like, they're not doing anything. The other argument is you technically are not supposed to be here. You're technically not supposed to be here. And that's the gray area. That's the one thing that no one kind of doesn't want to talk about. You're not technically supposed to be here. You weren't supposed to cross that border. You knew better. America did not allow that, for the most part. So it's kind of fucked up on the American people side, because it's like, I get it, but at the end of the day, you're not a citizen. You don't have the same rights as us, So it's like, I'm technically not supposed to be here. You came here illegally. So if they send you back, it's technically what you deserve. It's technically you're just going back to where you came from. And here's the thing, right? Let's put it in perspective for Americans. If a bunch of Americans, for some reason, fled to Mexico and started taking over Mexico City and other, Tijuana or other big Mexican cities, and a bunch of Americans just going over there and just fucking living there and shit, and just not necessarily disrupting in a bad way, but kind of just taking over these cities and or these hubs. If Mexico was fuck all these Americans come from? Why are they all here? We're sending your asses back. And they just started rounding us up and sending us back. I would understand. Why? Because we came here illegally. We crossed the border illegally. We went to Mexico. We started occupying Mexico without permission. So they have their right as a government to protect their people and send those illegals back to America. It makes sense. It's a one-to-one. A lot of people don't view it like that because America is it's a first world country, is in technically a better financial standing and a better standard of living than Mexico in some degree. But it's the same thing, man. If we did that to them, they would do the exact same thing to us. They'll be sending our gringo asses back in droves, which I'll completely 100% understand. So I kind of just get both sides of the argument. I get people saying, send them back. They don't belong here. It is what it is. And I get people saying, they should be here. They're not doing anything wrong. Personally, I think if you're not doing anything wrong, if you're an immigrant, you came to this country, you're working, you're abiding by the law, I think you should stay. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If you are not abiding by the law, not contributing, and just doing a bunch of fuckery, I think we should send your asses back. Sorry, if you're going to come to this country, you're going to contribute to this country. You're not going to sit here and fuck around. Fuck out of here. Do that in your own country. So that's what's currently happening in LA. So it's not as bad as some of the other riots that has happened in the past in LA, but it's slowly building. And I understand both sides of the argument. We'll see how it plays out. Hopefully National Guard is not brought in there and start fucking people up and fucking shit up. But yeah, I think that when it comes to that, the riots in LA, I think it's not going to get any better until the Trump administration get their heads out of their asses and stop sending people back basically without due process and for no apparent reason. But I talked a lot about immigration and the LA riots. It's basically an immigration LA riots episode. I'm sorry about that, guys. So let me try to find another topic that is not immigration and or LA's riot focus. Dude, when it comes to Google Trends, man, a lot of it is it's pretty worldwide. Like a lot of it's soccer related, which like I don't watch the fucking Mexico U20 versus the Congo U20, the under 20 team, so I'm not gonna know anything about that. I'm trying to find shit that I personally know on or I can personally speak on. But yeah, a lot of it is just fucking international soccer shit or just international shit as a whole. I think I spoke to the things that I can really speak to a little bit more in depth as a whole, but I want to see if I can find one more because I just fucking rambled about immigration for like 30 minutes and I don't want to end it on immigration. Okay, guys, we are still scrolling and it ain't looking like it's getting any better. I'm not gonna lie. Everything is still pretty fucking random. Like, who the fuck is Mason Thames? Like, who is that? Like, it's not even, I don't even know who that is. Like, that's clearly not an American. And usually it's just like one word. So it doesn't give like any details. It's just one fucking word, man. And that's it. So, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to click on literally anything. And then it's going to open up. And then it's going to show me why it's trending. Okay. So let's do... Fuck, I don't want to do that because I know I'm going to pick a fucking terrible one. So I'm kind of backing out. I'm not standing on business here. Yeah, this shit is not it. I'm not going to lie. I'm like 90 pages in and it's just like extremely random stuff. Nothing good. Nothing comes to eye. A bunch of random fucking names that I don't even know. They should kind of... Yeah, I don't... Yeah, we gotta... Should put more details on this. I'm not gonna lie. Because this is not it. Okay. Last page. I'm gonna do one more page. And then... One more page. If I don't see anything, then we're not gonna, what's it called? All right, I'm on the last page. The last thing is literally WrestleMania 41. I don't care about wrestling. I'm not gonna lie. That's the worst possible thing that it could have flipped on. Fuck me. I don't care about wrestling. I don't watch wrestling. I don't give a shit about it. I can say this. I appreciate it as an art form, as a sport. So there's like a lot of good wrestling documentaries that really go over like the sport, the wrestlers, the industry as a whole. And in watching those documentaries, it kind of gave me a better understanding of wrestling. Now, I watched it when I was a kid because my brother was obsessed about wrestling, still obsessed about wrestling. So he was the oldest, so he had the remote. You know, that's just how fucking households are, you know. The older sibling gets the remote, so I just sat there and fucking watched wrestling, unfortunately. I was never that big of a wrestling fan. I kind of just tolerated more so than anything, but I definitely gained like an appreciation of it as I got older watching through those documentaries because it's hard. It's not easy. It's not easy by any means. Yes, it is fake as far as like it's choreographed, but okay. So unfortunately, we had a issue with the audio. So excuse me, audio, visual. So my camera said, "Go fuck yourself," and we are going to shut off because we overheated. Never happened with my camera before, and that's so weird because I recorded for longer, so hopefully it doesn't do it again. But yeah, if you want to catch the rest of the episode, you can check it out on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. I go on for like another 15 to 20 minutes, so if you want to catch the rest, you can check it out there. If not, want to stay with the visual. Fortunately, the visual cuts off there. Excuse me. And you get an abrupt ending to the podcast. So sorry about that one, guys. Try to make it shorter next time and not ramble about immigration for like 30 minutes. But yeah, catch you guys next time. Bye.